Yeah. Mr. Apologetic, yeah, he breaking it down. World views collide when we step on the ground. No spin, no fluff, we ain't playing around. Every false claim, getting pressed right now. Bad philosophies, stripped to the core. If it ain't truth, we exposing it all. This ain't hype, it's a war for the mind. Every quote, every lie, getting put in the line. From the street to the stream, we defending his name. Halafaya, yeah, the truth never changed. Mr. Apologetic, I used to be a top head. Now if I have my space, I put you on top. I had so much doubt, now I have big faith. If your channel has Yelp, I give you top rate.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Hope you are having a good Friday. We're going to jump into it, open up the lines, have people call in if they so please, without me having to bait them into doing, call in, you loser people or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. Hope you're doing well. Drop a comment, share the stream out, like it. Simple stuff you can do to actually help us in getting the word out. I just turned on my YouTube and I saw that Mike Winger is going live at 1:00. At least that's what it says, and it says why I'm taking a long break. Why you won't be seeing much of me for a while. I've been watching on and off the recent 4-hour, 5-hour video that Mike put up with the situation in Australia with some of those folks. Man, it's heavy. I know Mike's been, I try to have Mike come out for my conference that we just had, the Praise with Reason conference. And he is so swamped with stuff that he couldn't do it. And he said Art can't for like a year. And now this stuff's heavy, man. This stuff's heavy. I think maybe it's getting emotionally kind of heavy for Mike as he's behind the scenes. He's talking to so many people and all that stuff. I do want to watch this, you guys. Let me see what's going on here. Give me a second. Good. Good. Hey!
not be making fresh video content for like 3 months probably, unless I really just go, no, I got to go back to it for some reason. The plan is 3 months.
Mike just announced that he is writing
you guys,
a book,
I don't know what that'll look
and
like.
he's also going on a 3-month sabbatical
On my YouTube channel. We just passed it tonight. I do. The fact that it even reaches this many people is just amazing. It's just amazing. I'm thrilled by it. The amount of ministry it is in your lives. Messages we get all the time from you guys. I know I don't have to tell people about the impact of this ministry because you guys know it, and it's by God's incredible kind grace. I'm so grateful for it. But you got to wonder as a YouTuber, right? And I'll go to your guys' questions. We'll do the Bible questions all today as well in their live chat. You just load the questions in. We're going to
June 1st,
grab them and I'll answer them all.
3 months.
I'll answer 10 of them or 9 of them. But as a guy that's doing YouTube, taking a big break like this is a bit of a risk. I'm not 100% sure what that'll be like. And I know other Christian YouTubers who are burnt out and tired and who are thinking about taking their own breaks. So consider this a test case. Can you take a break and come back? And do you suffer for it? We'll find out. I know that YouTube has tried to change their algorithms such that they don't punish people for taking breaks like it used to pretty hard. But what will it do in reality? I don't know. We'll find out. So that's kind of the update, personal life update. I'm not taking a break because of any other issues. I don't know if people are like worried about me like being under stress, like danger and stuff like that. Like, please don't worry about that. It's not the kind of thing you can worry about anyways. You just live your life. But that has nothing to do with why I'm taking a break. I'm not taking a break for any reason other than I actually had one scheduled in January. I've got a book contract I really want to honor my word and do. And I'm exhausted. I need some time off, as is apparent to those who know me well. Like you guys know.
He's tired. He's got a lot of stuff going on. That's awesome. Good break. Hey guys, check it out. Check it out. What do you guys think? I'll tell you this. I got my samples in. So I got this one. I got this one. This one's a different color. I ordered different colors because I want to see how they, how they look and feel. That's the Mr. Apologetic one. I got one for my wife, Miss Apologetic. And then I got the hoodie. Let me bring the hoodie out. My wife's wearing the other one. She went somewhere. She was wearing the other one. These are the samples that came for me, man. This one is a combo. So where is it? This one's a combo. So it says Mr. Apologetic on the front and on the back. Bam. Bald, bearded, biblical. A new mock-up of the bald, bearded, and biblical logo. Changed it up a bit. A lot. And let me tell you this. Printing is awesome. Really, really good printing. The material is fantabulous. I'll tell you this. Guys, if the material was bad, I'd rather not have merch. I'd rather not sell anything than sell it and it's just bad material. That's part of the reason why I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done with the other company and all that. And then I ordered these samples so I can try them. They feel really good. 100% cotton, by the way. All of them. This one, the hoodie, 100% cotton. Thick, really thick material. Fits very well. Took it to Bible study with me yesterday because it arrived yesterday. Took it to Bible study. And then I had all the guys at my Bible study, 30-something guys, look through it. I handed it to them. I said, guys, what do you think? Would you wear this? Does the material feel well? Unanimously, every single one of them said, the material feels amazing. The printing looks good. It fits well. Some of the guys tried it on. And yeah, like just, I'm very, very happy with it, guys. And so I'm trying to generate and create another one that's maybe like a generic, it says Apologia Center on it or some kind of a code. I've thought about putting just like "shut up and read your Bible" on them. Or there's one that my friend. You guys tell me what you feel about this. I got a buddy who's written this quote down from me, and the quote is, and I said this. I kept interrupting him in a conversation, and he said, "Stop interrupting me." And I told him, "I've earned the right to interrupt people," and and he wrote that down as a quote, and it's a running joke between us. And I was like, man, that would be kind of cool on a shirt where it just says, "I've earned the right to interrupt people." So let me know. There's a couple of kind of funny ideas like that, but a generic one that says Apologia Center on it. Don't want to overwhelm it with different ideas. I do have some stuff that I think will eventually launch kind of as um, limited sort of designs that we'll sell limited of. It ships globally. Ships globally, you guys. And what's it called? Good material, bunch of really cool stuff. Let me see. Somebody asked, "Hey man, God bless you, bro. How you doing? Can we get a full view of the green tea with the mic out of the way?" I'm modeling here. There we go. Just for you. Just for you, Excellence. Are these the same quality as the first renditions? No. Like, guy, it's really, 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 really better. Like, a lot better. That's again, I got sick and tired of that stuff because the first ones I did were decent materials. The second ones, they changed their supplier and it messed a lot of stuff up. And so with these, they're thick cotton, 100% cotton. So obviously you got to care for them and wash them properly and dry them properly and all that stuff. But they're definitely way better materials. Notice how these things are still very exclusionary. That literally one of them says Mr. Apologetic and the other one says Miss Apologetic. They're not. They're very welcoming to men and women. I don't believe in more genders than that. Now, if you're considering the bald one, you don't have to get the bald, bearded, and biblical one. You get the Mr. Apologetic one. Pastor Israel Lopez, what's up? Says, "Hey, bro, has your super chat goals not been incrementing when people send super chat?" I don't know. Nobody sends super chats. No, I think it does. I can't say. I mean, Monday we got some super chats, and I think it did, and I haven't gone live since. So we'll see if people send super chats. We'll see. Arnold actually held the shirts and the hoodie. He said the sweater was my favorite. He loved the hoodie. He wore the hoodie and he really liked it. Put a Dallas Willard coat on one of them. Yeah, I'd have to come up with one. The shield would look cool on the back with a baldy peering over the top. Y'all creative people. Let me design something for you on a sweater. Hey, design it, send it to me. People want to do work for me. I do not mind it at all. Would be a provocative graphic for a sweater. What would be? I just realized there's a live going on. Yes, there is. Thank you, Arthur and Bloody Based. But I'm not an apologist, though. Shut up. The fabrics are not mixed, Josh. 100% cotton. 100% cotton. So I'm gonna pull something up. I'll give you some details on these. They do run a little on the larger side. I'll tell you that. Like, I got large ones for me. I got I got a medium one for my wife, and the medium one fit me perfectly. The large ones, like, I'll wash them and see what happens. But they do run a little large. I'll tell you that. We got a chart size and all that stuff. But what's the word? I'm forgetting the word. Is it GSI? Is that what it is, guys? They're heavy, by the way. Is it? It's not GSI. What's the thickness called? You guys want to remember what the thickness is called? That number, whatever it is. So the for these, I think it's 305 GSI. For these, it's 305. For the hoodies, I think it's 400. So they fit very well. I enjoy that. Big shout out to Holy Heat for the $50 super chat. Appreciate it. And Pastor Lopez, you were right. It's not going up. He just dropped it, and nothing has moved on my super chats. Yep, still at 0. There you go. So there's an answer to your question. Thank you, my brother, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Let me see. Bald, bearded, biblical based. No, you guys. Just keep adding bees. Bro, I want this shirt. You want this one specifically? We'll get it to you. By the way, that's my man Petros, the rock, upon whom I will build. Petros runs our ministry in Armenian. He does Armenian language only apologetics, trains people in Armenia. He's the guy in Armenia. So he's brilliant. He's working on his master's degree in theology right now in Armenia, and he runs our Armenia channel. So anytime, if you're an Armenian speaker or have Armenian speaking friends, you can see it a part of our recommended channels on our homepage, youtube.com/Apologia Center. You can see it there. And he runs that entire ministry. He's growing it out. He's a vibrant, bright young man. So we'll get it for you, bro. We'll get this for you. I haven't launched it fully, by the way, guys. Like, we've designed them. I've ordered samples. I got the samples yesterday. It took about 5 days for them to arrive here. And they do ship internationally, which is really good. And I'm looking at probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks of this going live and being available for folks to purchase. So I got to figure out the pricing situation. Definitely want to keep the t-shirt. Well, I'll do the math. I want to see kind of what the tax and shipping will be, and if I could kind of include all of that in the price, where you guys don't necessarily have to pay for shipping, because I don't want you guys buying a hoodie and then it end up being like an arm and a leg, or a shirt and it end up being an arm and a leg. So let me put it this way. The way I think about this is, would I buy this product? Do I feel comfortable in it? And I do, absolutely. Wore it yesterday. And wore multiples of them yesterday throughout. So I got them just to try them on and see what's going on. My question is, am I going to buy it? Would this be something like I would look at and buy and then come back to it 3-4 months down the line and buy another one? Or is it going to be like whatever the price may be, and I'm like, I'm uncomfortable buying another one of that. Like, one is enough. So I do want to keep it affordable and all that stuff, cover all the costs, whatever. So we will make sure that they are affordable for folks, because that's the right thing to do, bottom line. I've earned the right to interrupt people would make a provocative T graphic, an interesting combo starter. Dude, I'm telling you, like, just we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Definitely, I like that one. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, it hasn't updated at all. Bald, bearded, biblical, based, beautiful. You guys are bad. I forgot to say that JP repeatedly confused a bald Catholic guy for you yesterday while on Wood's channel. No, go away. That's not true. What? I need clips of this stuff, man. Where's JP? We need Pisabi with his hair prominently combed to the side and the phrase, "This is serious," underneath. You guys are bad. You are the rock on which I will build a Apologia Center Army ministry. That's true. That's really true. Wanted to ask if you've looked at Dr. Henry Smith's work on the chronology of the Septuagint. It's interesting. You should check it out if you haven't. I have not, Joshua. I have not looked at Dr. Henry Smith's work. That sounds like a last name, huh? Like if you don't break that up, like Dr. Henry Smith's work. But what you mean is Dr. Henry. Using a new browser. And I got to get used to it. Henry Smith. Septuagint? Is that what you said? Okay. Okay, there's a podcast that popped up. I'll check it out. Pin it up. So, also the shirts with the logo will be fantastic. That'll be one of them. Where it's just the entire logo. We'll definitely have those available as well. And I might just make a bunch and send it to Armenia with the Armenian logo. So we'll see, with the Armenian writing underneath. So I'll talk to you. I played Wes's video to my colleague today. We had a great conversation afterwards. Opened the door for further chats. Praise God, man. That was a really good video Wes put out, in my opinion. It was gracious. It was to the point. He shared what was on his thought. Very important. I'll timestamp it for you. By the way, YouTube's changed the whole timestamp, whatever, clips thing. I'm pretty sure you know. I got to say the online Christian apologetics ministry has become pretty intolerable and cancerous. Well, maybe so. We're trying to not make it like that, but I will say that some of these conversations are necessary, and I was expecting some of these conversations to come up, predominantly with the Eastern Orthodox guys. But yeah, I mean, I've said this stuff for a long time, man. Character matters, and then there's people who are like now being thrown in the apologetics world who aren't actually apologists and don't care about evangelism, aren't doing apologetics. Andrew Wilson is not an apologist. Jay Dyer is not an apologist. I did whatever. Like, again, by the way, Ruslan's not an apologist. Ruslan is a very good friend of mine. He's not an apologist. I consider Ruslan to be a cultural commentator. He does Christian cultural commentary. And that's necessary. It's needed. Right? So if anybody's confused about that, you can go look at the work of Oz Guinness, who, in my opinion, does cultural commentary, more like political sort of cultural commentary on a more serious note, but he's also an apologist. So you can do both as well. Go to 202. Let's see. Copy. Sorry, Mike Winger. Mike's a great guy. Okay, that's not it. I'm so curious to see, because I saw part of this stuff yesterday. Go to 202. 2 hours. The 4-hour stream, man. Oh, this is gonna be funny. JP, man. JP. Better watch it, JP. I am prettier than this man. Why does this? Sorry, guys. It keeps muting it every time I switch over. That's so weird. Okay. He hasn't said anything yet. I'm still curious about this.
Is it
Similar to
Bethania
Maccabees.
there?
Yeah, similar to Maccabees. So I looked up the tomb, the particular doctrine, and it says that they go there so that they can pray for the dead, so that they can be shown mercy.
Why does this guy not look at the camera at all? He's just been looking down the entire time. That's really weird.
But Arthur, you said
What? JP. Hey, JP, not all guys that are bald and bearded, man, are named Arthur. Come on, JP.
shown mercy.
Let's
For
go back.
the particular doctrine, and it says that they go there so that they can pray for the dead, so that they can be shown mercy. But Arthur, you said, Ash, you said that this was saying that they pray to
I'm looking it
the
up, so
saints, so that
we'll
the
go
saints.
over it.
Okay, we'll go over it.
Hey, Ash needs, I don't know Ash, but he definitely needs one of my hoodies. Once we launch them, I'm gonna give people who I just look at and I'm like, dude, you're the guy on the hoodie. He's got a fantabulous beard and all that. They gotta get it. They gotta get it. Okay, let me jump into some comments, guys. I am gonna drop the link for folks to call in. I dropped it. I'm gonna pin it if anybody wants to call in. It's too funny. JP's solid, man. JP's awesome. The conversations are good, but some people need to curb their inner pit bull. How about just curb their inner? How would I define an apologist in this sense? Well, so I would say somebody who is like made it a career. Somebody whose kind of life focus and attention is on doing apologetics for the purposes of evangelism, definitely is what I would put it. Loose, maybe, definition of sorts. Like, I'd say Andrew Wilson is like a political apologist. He's an apologist for conservative ideas or something like that, if you want to use in that sense. But like, I don't think Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson are that much concerned about people becoming Christians and following Jesus and giving their lives to him. At least that's not what I've observed. Like in regards to the evangelism aspect of it, I think for them it's been a lot. And I've listened to more of Wilson than I have of Jay Dyer, but it's more of like Christians produce best societies, like live the way we produce societies, but that's not the same as evangelism. And to what extent do Eastern Orthodox actually evangelize? That's an important question people need to be asking. Let me center myself here on that. Justin Harris. Justin says, hey, y'all, got to thinking with the recent extreme leftist and materialist worldview seemingly on the decline, it definitely feels like there's been a shift away from all that ridiculousness. Praise God, by the way, I predicted that in 2009. I'm concerned with the pendulum swinging too far in the opposite direction, especially having seen a lot of Christian nationalism, political worship, militant Christian social media posts that seem to romanticize the violence of the Crusades. This is correct. Just curious, anyone else thoughts on the subject? Yeah, I would agree that that's very similar. I think the pendulum is swinging to the other side where people people are more identifying with Christianity as just a mere identity rather than actual conversion, rather than actual life being lived through the power of the Holy Spirit in Christ Jesus our Lord. And I think that's a danger. And it is sort of swinging to that the direction. Here's what I would say, by the way, is that be careful not to just make these judgments based on what you see online, because what's shown online and what the algorithm pumps out for us is definitely what is going on the ground. But there is that kind of a pendulum swing. I do think people are going to become a lot more, or just more spiritual instead of the materialist kind of vibe. Yeah. I just did. Maybe probably has nice eyes or something like that. He wasn't looking at the camera. There he is. Okay, I found him looking at the camera. Yeah, I don't know. We don't look that much alike. We're just bald guys, dude. JP's got something like we're bald, bro, and he just gets us mixed up. We don't even look alike. I got glasses. He doesn't. Not, not all bald guys are called Arthur would make a nice shirt. Oh, you guys. Not gonna lie, I couldn't listen to the stream. Besides headaches, both sides have no room for truth being found. Versus my opinion is unshakable, solid, no charity. Yeah, okay. Arthur, do you know who David Paulman is? I think so. Unless I'm confusing him with someone. Did you not share about this guy? No, I don't. I don't think I know him. No, JP. The Orthobros stuff reminds me of young, reformed, and restless movement. Hey. Here's a connection I have for you. You ready for this? I got a connection for you. Okay? Back to Orthodoxy. A vast majority of those guys that were a part of the young, reformed, and restless movement are the Orthobros. Character matters, my friend. Character matters. I'm telling you, go look at these guys. A lot of them that are within this Orthobro community came out of there and then became Orthodox. And I think once you see it, you can't unsee it, and you realize, ooh, that's the connection. That's the connection. We got a caller that's called in. Idam, is that how you say it? Let me see. I think I got to do this.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I've got two questions. Firstly, something I've kind of kept to myself for quite a while is that the filioque. I've never really been convinced by it. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the Nicene Creed that piece by piece I've tried to understand and come to understand, right? But the filioque is something that I've never really been convinced by, and especially when hearing about, the whole its part. I'll say its part in the schism, the Great Schism. Um, I never have really been convinced by it until
Okay.
recently, something has kind of moved the needle. I won't say I'm fully convinced. I'm just
When you say
convinced
fully
what I'm
convinced, are you talking about for or against it?
for it. For it.
Okay.
So previously, I've been able to, say because there is a question. There is no question about if the spirit proceeds from the Father and the Son, as in, regarding to assignments. I don't like using some of the terminology that's used about, as in, does the Father send the Spirit through the Son? Does the Son send the Spirit from the Father? There's no argument about that.
Mhm.
The answer is yes to both those questions. Essentially, they're the same question. But
Yeah.
when talking about eternal generation, and some people say, I don't like using that, but or eternal emanation, um, I've never really been convinced by uh, the arguments
Okay, we're
for
talking
the
about two different things right
filioque.
now, right?
Right.
Okay, so you spoke about the filioque, now you're talking about eternal generation.
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
that's the whole
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the whole argument about whether the filioque should be there or not in
Got
the
it.
Nicene
Okay.
Creed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I've never really been convinced. To be honest, some of the arguments I've heard against the filioque aren't like I can understand them. I just don't know how solid they are. But some of the arguments for it, um, I, I don't see them as that strong.
So
Until recently,
the,
I read
okay.
John. Yeah.
You read what?
Recently, I read John 20:22. John chapter 20, verse 22, and for me, the specific wording in John 20:22, it makes me think, okay, is this like scriptural backing for it? I don't know.
In regards to breathing the Holy Spirit on them. And when he
Yeah,
said this,
because
he breathed on them
yeah,
and said to them, receive the Holy Spirit if you forgive the sins of any. Okay. Um, is this your own observation, or did you read folks using this?
I've never heard anybody use it.
Mm.
It's my own observation. I will say that one conversation I had with an Eastern Orthodox friend of mine previously was that it wasn't necessarily on the filioque. He was trying to say some reasons why, you know, he doesn't think there's ever going to be reconciliation between, the East and Rome. But
Yeah.
he was saying, what was he saying? He was saying, oh, the persons of the Godhead, you know, either one thing can be attributed to one person or to all of them. It can't be attributed to two. And I was like, okay,
What?
maybe.
That's
I,
that
I,
just that like flat. That's weird. Like deity is attributed to both or all three members of the Trinity.
yeah, he was saying either something is attributed to all of them or only one of them. That it can't be attributed to two of them. Otherwise, you're saying that the other
Could,
person that it's not attributed
yeah, yeah.
to is
Could it
deficient
could
in
it
some way.
could it be? Do you think you would say it could be attributed to one of them and not the other two?
Yeah, he would. He would say that.
Oh, okay, but
Yeah,
not two of them.
but not two. One or all three, but not two.
Yeah, that might be true. Again, I'm thinking whether I can come up with some counterexamples to defeat that, some defeaters, and I can't
Right.
necessarily. Nothing's come to my mind where I'm like, oh yeah, here's two members of the Trinity doing this, being those things being attributed to two only and not the others. Okay, so okay, where was he going with that? So he's saying, you can't say. His conclusion is you can't say that the Spirit proceeds from the Father and the Son because that's attributing to two of them.
Yeah.
That's where he's going with that. Okay, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That
So,
is very interesting.
and the classic language about it is that the Son is eternally begotten of the Father,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then the Spirit is spirated from the Father, say this is the filioque, the spirit is spirated uh, of the Father and the Son. So for me, spirated, and then the specific language in John 20:22 was like, is this
Yeah, it's I
remove
would
the
I would
real
look
from
at
it?
John 20. Let me put this up actually. John 20:22. I would actually just say this passage is closely linked, as you can tell, I highlighted it here in a commentary, closely linked with the Genesis 2:7 creation passage, where
Mm,
this commentator says the image and wording of breathing on them recalls God's creative work in the making of Adam.
yeah,
So God breathes on them, and the human becomes, or Adam becomes, a living being. And then where you see here is
yeah, that's
Jesus
exactly
breathing.
how I've always read it. Yeah.
That's my immediate kind of hermeneutical reaction, kind of gut reaction of, oh,
Mm,
this is a parallel passage. I mean, it's definitely a claim to deity at the very least. It's a claim to deity here. Jesus is doing something the Father does, which is
mm,
breathe the Spirit on people. I don't see that's the difficulty. Is when we take these passages in the Bible that are like have a very particular what's the word? A very particular context to them, and then we
mm,
try to theologize them. And I'm very hesitant to that stuff. And I'm not saying whether this is right or wrong or whatever like that. It's just I am hesitant to, and I know lots of apologists do things like this on YouTube, and I'm uneasy quite often, even though they develop arguments that are like they defeat their debate opponents. I kind of look at some of those things and I say, I don't know whether hermeneutically you can actually draw those conclusions, but
yeah.
it's sort of popular with the way people do some of these things, lots of typologies and stuff like that. It's just I don't want to just take this, rip it out of its context, theologize it in this sort of eternal kind of, turn it into this eternal sort of sense, and say, well, yeah, I got proof text for this. Is what I wouldn't want to do. I hope that makes sense to you.
No, 100%. Yeah, that's something that I hope this doesn't, end up gaining any ire from anyone. But when people talk about Jay Dyer in the past, they've said, "Hey, Jay Dyer is great." I've always been like, he's a good debater, but some of the ways he uses scripture and everything, it's not it's not really. It's exactly what you said.
Hey man,
It's exactly what you said.
look. Whether it's Jay or Sam or Avery or David, whomever,
Yep.
I think, and I'm a stickler when it comes to this, and I think a good amount of these guys would agree with me. There is a proper way to do hermeneutics. And just because you're going to get the edge in a debate or conversation doesn't mean you got to give up the principles of doing hermeneutics well. Now, there is definitely a trend with some folks, and predominantly this happens with Catholics and Orthodox, where it'll be like, oh, such and such a passage, and then immediately afterwards is, this church father interpreted this text this way. Now, the difference is that I think the church fathers could be wrong about the way they interpreted texts. And I'm vocal about that. And by the way, they think church fathers could be wrong about the way they interpret text. Not all the church fathers agreed on interpretations of text. Some of them were pretty bad at it. Some of them allegorize texts and do all sorts of crazy stuff, right? And so whether they say it or not, but it's sort of like, it feels like they're flexing to a certain extent. Like, I've heard people say things like, "Oh, so you think you know better than the church fathers?" And it's like, well, no, like that's a dumb way to think about it. It's not that I think I know better than the church fathers, but in this particular issue that you're bringing up, I think I know better than that specific church father on that issue. And that's not arrogant, if you can actually prove it. Because I'm not only saying this, if we really push them, all of those people on all the issues, they're gonna definitely come across stuff they think a church father is wrong about. This is partly why I think it's kind of it is not helpful to just sit there and quote how church fathers interpreted certain texts.
Right.
We'll just sit there and just code until morning and never get anywhere. And so, but it is helpful in regards to the question I asked you. Did you have you seen other people use this passage and interpret this passage in that way? Or was it your own observation? Like, I just think there's general wisdom, like, oh, I'm the only person in the history of the church to think this verse is saying this thing. And another passage say you have really well grounded support throughout church history that people have seen that passage that way. Doesn't mean they were right. It just means that some wisdom and caution is important into going into that conversation if you're seeing a passage differently than the way a vast majority of church history has seen it. And so that's kind of why I ask those questions, because they're helpful. I mean, we don't deny tradition as Protestants. We deny some tradition. We could even deny, you can say, unnecessary tradition. But we can deny tradition that we come up with in the last 100 years or 50 years or 30 years or 3 months. Just because it's tradition doesn't make it right. And I wish people actually sat around each other and had these conversations, like, realistically. You know what I mean? I know this is going kind of beyond what I've said, is going beyond kind of your whole statements about the filioque and eternal generation. I frankly think one of the issues that I have is I often think that these disagreements are so time stamped and so convoluted with political realities, linguistic realities, cultural realities, philosophical realities, where they weren't even necessary in my mind, right? Like, are they saying the same thing? Are they not saying the same thing? I think those are important questions to ask. For example, again, not an expert on any of these things. By the way, I really, really, really want to have Fred Sanders on the podcast and interview him on eternal generation. That's a goal that we have. And like, are we, like, where is this idea coming from? Is there influence from Greek philosophy to be even thinking in this way? Gnostics had certain ideas that looked very similar, or sorry, not Gnostics, but what ended up in Gnosticism, but like Neoplatonists had some of these ideas of like necessity of existence, kind of, for the divine that would be like too perfect to interact with humanity, necessitates creating another deity that would interact with it, which is where we get the idea of the demiurge from. And it's like, how much of that is influencing? Like, I don't know whether and there might be folks who've done their PhDs on this stuff and are very, very well versed, like in a very particular, like 50-year time period of these conversations happening. And to get to the truth rather than sit there and say, well, if you deny this, you're this. If you deny that, you're the other. My thoughts, by the way, are just, they're not well formulated currently because we're just having a conversation. But that's some of the stuff I think about is can we sit there? I'll give you an example. My conversation with Father Lazarus, I made a comment like, well, the Protestants, the Eastern Orthodox, and the Catholics believe in the hypostatic union. And then he said, oh, but we use hypostatic union as well. Because it was used at Ephesus. So he just had this reaction. And it's in those conversations where I'm like, okay, cool. Like, so what is it? Like, what's the disagreement here actually? Have we turned it into a bigger issue than it should be? And frankly, I don't think church history and church leaders and the fathers and bishops or whomever councils were immune from their own limited kind of realities. And I know that's very different from what, some of our friends might say on the other side. But I think the reason why they say those things are predominantly because they're reacting towards some other things, and it just kind of gets harsher and harsher and harsher. It's sort of like, give you an example. During Jesus' time, the Pharisees had come up with all these laws that were on top of the laws so that they wouldn't break those laws. But the laws they had come up with, these what we call these hedge laws, had become equivalent to the revelation of God. And Jesus criticized them for these things. And I don't think that they came up with those laws with ill motive. I don't think they came up with those laws with trying to control and manipulate people. I think they legitimately came up with them because they had gone through the exile. They had seen what had happened throughout their history, and they had said, we cannot break these laws. So they came up with these laws to protect the other laws. And then what they did is create a snare essentially for everyone. And they get criticized for it. And I think those sort of things are very possible, and I think have actually occurred throughout church history, and then have become kind of the norm. And then when you react to them and you say, no, I don't buy that, then you're immediately, frankly, you're put into the same camp as Jesus was when he was criticizing the Pharisees. That, you're demon possessed and a libertine. You hang out with tax collectors and prostitutes. And it's like, what? When was that? When was that a thing God said you can't do? But in their minds, it definitely was, right? I don't know, man. I've said a lot of stuff. Maybe swayed you away from what you were actually trying to say. But go ahead. Bring me back if you want.
It's all very good, very good advice to maintain. And a few of the things you said, I have observed. But then again, I also need to caution myself not to go down that route, not to be saying, "Oh, I don't want to be like them," while at the same time racing straight past them on that same road, on that same route. But yeah, I think, like you said, every time I've read John 20:22, right?
Yeah.
I have seen it as, maybe illusion isn't the best word, but I can't think of a better word
I think it's fair to say type. I think it's very fair to say type.
Type, right? Type
or correlation.
of, what we see in the creation of Adam in Genesis 2. And I think even if we go down that route, what we see in Genesis 2, because I'm not saying, oh, this is what John is trying to convey, that he's trying to convey that the Spirit eternally proceeds from Christ. But
Correct.
I'm wondering if these two very important points in history being connected talks towards, like, hints towards the filioque or not. That so, like, in Genesis 2, God forms Adam, he forms the man from the dirt of the earth, and then he breathes into his nostril, right? Nafesh, and man becomes a living soul. And then in John 20:22, Christ is breathing upon, I want to open up, wait, I hope my audio doesn't cut out. I'm trying to open up, actually I've got my
Tell me, I'll read it.
Bible
I'll put it
here.
up and read it.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. John 20:22. I just didn't want to miss, to
Yeah. So
paraphrase it.
I'll just read it starting with verse 20. When he had said these things, he
Okay.
showed them his hands and his side. These are the disciples. Then the disciples were glad when they saw the Lord. Jesus said to them again, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, even so I am sending you." And when he had said
Right.
these things, he breathed on them and said to them, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. If you withhold forgiveness from any, it is withheld."
Right. So the way it's said there, I'm not going to try and bench anything or link anything to Christ saying, as the Father sent me, so
Yeah.
I also send you, because then we're then we're running the risk of including the apostles
Yeah.
into
I mean,
God's
clearly
with
that
God.
sending is one of the incarnation and the whole mission of Jesus. Not it's
Right.
not beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess looking at that, with everything you've said as well, kind of steps me back from saying, okay, maybe the filioque has, um, you know, credible ground. I don't want to say it that way. Solid,
Hmm.
solid
Yeah.
evidence.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll say it that way. Yeah, it steps me back from saying that. Um, to be honest, whenever I'm reciting the Nicene Creed with others, um, if I'm in a Western, let's say Western camp, I do say the filioque, as in, not to try and be deceitful, but for peace among
Mm.
brethren, and also because I can affirm that, like I said before, the Father sends the Spirit through the Son sends the Spirit from the Father, right? Not regard that is me not referring to eternal procession. And
Yeah.
when I'm in an Eastern camp, yeah, I don't say the filioque, uh, again, peaceably, and also because in that camp,
I mean, wasn't the recent meeting between the Pope and Bartholomew, the Patriarch?
oh yeah,
Do you remember this? That just recently happened for the anniversary of the Nicene Creed, where I think the Pope
yes,
left it out.
I do remember it. Okay, I didn't I saw it in some news articles that it happened, so I remember that it happened. I didn't really pay attention to how everything went.
So I think here, this is from the Catholic Herald. I think I just Googled it and pulled it up. So check this out. Pope Leo, Nicene moment and the missing filioque. Pope Leo joined Orthodox, Oriental Orthodox, and Protestant leaders in Turkey. Oh my gosh, how did that happen, you
What
guys? What are the
in
what are
Turkey?
the what are the Ortho bros gonna think about this? Pope Leo joined the Orthodox, the Oriental Orthodox, and Protestant leaders in Turkey this week to commemorate the 1700th anniversary of the First Ecumenical Council. By the way, you know who's not there? Like Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons. You dorks.
Right.
You absolute dorks who keep using that as an argument. Dude, I can't with that. I mean, you call me all sorts of stuff and I'll take it. You call me a heretic, you're gonna get it back. So marking one of the most symbolically charged ecumenical gatherings of his pontificate. The prayer service held in modern day Iznik, which used to be Nicaea, brought together 27 heads of churches and Christian communities in a setting uniquely associated with the earliest definitions of Christian doctrine. They're not going to let me read this further. Okay, let me see. During the liturgy, the Pope and the assembled leaders recited the Niceo-Constantinopolitan Creed in English, using the original Greek from without the Filioque clause.
Okay.
They left it out. Because the Greeks were essentially hosting it. And they sort of wanted to honor them in that. So the fact that you're saying this, and if somebody's gonna jump the gun, if some Catholics out there are gonna jump the gun on you or something like that, I would say the Pope did it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Plus, me leaving out the filioque was, I'm not, me leaving out the filioque is not me denying that the Spirit proceeds from the Son. It's just me saying that the Spirit proceeds from the Father, which, in the West,
yeah,
we should all agree with. I think everyone should agree with that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, again, look, I don't claim to be an expert on some of these things. Okay, I'm not. I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm like mediocre on, and I know stuff I'm really bad about. Like, this is partly why you guys will very rarely hear me having conversations about science. Just think about it. Like, I just really try to stay away from conversations about science because it's not my strength. It's not, I'm not an expert in it, and so like certain theological subjects, obviously I can have conversations about and reason through. It's sort of like it's funny to me, the other day Andrew Wilson thought he had gotten David Wood with a gotcha when he said, do you believe in penal substitutionary atonement, PSA, and David said, well, I lean that way, but all that stuff, and I wish I was there and Andrew Wilson asked me that question. I really do, because I would have given him a response something like this: hey Andrew, I think your ignorance is pretty obvious here, in that though Protestants predominantly believe in a penal substitutionary atonement, some will even drop the penal and just go with substitutionary atonement. Everybody, almost every theologian that you can talk to, does not take one stance on it. Like, it's PSA and nothing else. Almost everyone is going to come out and say, no, we see hints of ransom theory. We see hints of Christus Victor. We see, we don't see hints of ransom theory in the sense of the devil getting, the payment or something like that.
I was talking about that with someone today.
Yeah, it's bad theology. But like, the reality is that it's people are like, it's probably a combination of a good chunk of these, if not all of them. And historically, people have focused on different aspects of it because of different reasons. And I think I think Apologetics England put a comment about the Nicene Creed had a specific context in it in regards to heresy it was battling. It's a historical document, and that's true. There's a reason there was a second council to add the whole clause about the Holy Spirit. That was in the first one. There's a reason Chalcedon had to happen. Because these councils weren't answering every single question that was going on. They were particular to certain heresies going on, certain controversies going on, like the Arian controversy and stuff. And which leads me to say a couple of things in regards to maybe this was answering certain concerns and questions. that were happening during the time period that needed to be addressed, and so there was a focus on it. And if we can find multiple passages that are suggestive of both of these things. I mean, the thing is, if we find passages that are just suggestive of it by one of them, what I'm not for, by the way, and people do this often, and I've seen it happen, especially by those who tend to be a bit more philosophically minded and charged, is they sort of ignore the Bible and they start doing philosophical theology, and I think that's problematic.
Yeah.
You gotta back this stuff up by scripture. And that's what you're trying to do, right? Like, you're looking at this passage in John and saying, if it's being a parallel to the Genesis passage, and God is breathing on humanity, his spirit essentially, right, and turning them into a living being, if Jesus is doing a very similar thing, does that not give us the right to think about the Spirit coming from both the Father and the Son? That's the connection you're making.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the very least, it's a legitimate question, in the sense of, can we use this passage this way? I mean, we ask that about all sorts of passages. We look at all sorts of passages, and it's a good hermeneutical question to say, okay, we know what the immediate meaning is. Jesus is breathing the Holy Spirit on them, commissioning them, right? As the Father has sent me, I sent you guys. That's commissioning. And by doing so, there's some implications you can draw from it theologically. And at least asking the question is fair enough. Say, can we do this? And that's doing responsible theology, everybody. All you people watching this, that's doing responsible theology. Now, you might do your study and then conclude with, no, you can't do this because your textual argument is weak. But at the very least, you're doing your study properly. And yeah, it really depends on where we want to go. I mean, when I say it really depends, I don't mean that in the relativistic sense, right? Like, it depends whether we have enough grounds textually and the connection of those texts between Genesis, or maybe even, this is a question that might make some people uncomfortable. Are we asking too much of biblical texts where biblical texts are not trying to answer? I'll give you an example here. Genesis 1 starts off with, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Quite a bit of theologians believe that that's a title statement. It's a summary statement. In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth. And then it starts with, the earth was formless and void. It was water covered the face of the earth, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And you kind of look at this and you go, wait, where is creation ex nihilo? And somebody might say, well, it's in that first statement. In the beginning, God created heavens and the earth. That's telling you that everything came out of nothing. And some theologians will, not that they will deny creation ex nihilo, because I think there's a couple of Psalms that speak about creation ex nihilo. And you might even come up with a logical deduction of saying creation has to be ex nihilo and all that stuff. But some theologians say that's not what Genesis 1 is trying to do. Like, it's beyond the scope of the text. And I think those are fair pushbacks to say, hey, are some of these questions we're asking theologically beyond the scope of the text? And that's a guarantee. There's definitely times where we are asking stuff of passages that are beyond the scope of the text. The text doesn't want to say that. The text is not concerned about what you're asking. This is where people come up with really funky theological perspectives, because they're asking questions of certain texts that the text was never intended on answering. Simply put. And so, yeah, this is where we do theology. This is where we look at other texts. This is where we want to use our own wisdom, right? And come to good conclusions about these things. That's sort of like, I would lean in that direction in regards to what you're saying about John 20. and say maybe it's beyond the scope. But I think it's a legitimate question you're asking.
Okay. Yeah. I thought of maybe more recently relevant, not more recently, a recently relevant example of, asking too much of, asking the scriptures something that's outside of the scope, to do with Genesis 1. Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," and
Mm-hmm.
then the very next thing is all geocentric, or you know focused on the earth. And I think it was 2 years ago, I heard, I was with a group of believers that, I found that the way they look at scripture and the way we ask questions to one another was really good. But then all of a sudden something came up, and I was like, wait a second, you guys are all, like, pretty much all believers.
Wait, flat
The
Earth
thing
stuff?
they said is that, what?
Were you implying they were like flat earthers?
Oh no, not flat earthers, but they
Geocentric. The Earth is the center of the.
oh no, not
Okay.
not like that. Just the narrative scripture after Genesis 1:1 seems to center primarily on Earth. It doesn't explore the rest of the cosmos.
Correct. Yes.
Right. That's why I said geocentric. But yeah, the thing that they said is that therefore aliens must be demons. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, hold on. How do you get that from this? And it wasn't any of the stuff, like aliens can't. How would something travel from far away in within the lifetime or something, and we wouldn't catch it or anything like that? No, it was simply that um, Scripture only says that God created the heavens and the earth, and then focuses on life on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So then God didn't create life anywhere else. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Like, that's not a conclusive thing to get from scripture. Like, you can't get that conclusively from
Well, at
Genesis
least
1
you
and 2.
can't you can't conclude. Like you would have to be like agnostic about it.
Mm.
Like we don't have evidence to, for or against. Doug Wilson put out a video recently about this whole alien controversy where he's talking about, of course, there are aliens. We see them all over in the Bible. Look at the angels. But he's kind of tongue in cheek about it. But he also gets into some details about, hey, maybe there's something in. His call dropped. I'm sure he'll call back. But I'll finish this thought. The idea that there's something in. There we are. Yeah, can you hear me? Or do I have to set this up again? You good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
So I was
sorry
saying,
that
yeah, it's
got
good.
an alarm.
So Doug Wilson's comment was, in the Old Testament, we see like these angels coming down, and then their like bottom parts are like chariots. And he says, well, what if they're seeing it obviously within their worldview of like a chariot, and then nowadays people are seeing it within our worldview like spacecraft, because we have those things and we don't use chariots. Most people don't even know what a chariot looks like actually, or what they look like. And so I thought that was an interesting point in regards to that. But what your friends were doing is at least they were too rash in concluding things. So therefore, because this focuses on this issue, therefore that means there, other people, or not other people, other beings don't exist anywhere else. It's sort of like if the Bible speaks about certain portions of the Bible speaks about like these all-encompassing terms, but it's dealing locally. It'll say like, for example, the famine, where there's a it's not famine. What's the word I'm looking for?
Not the flood.
No. When it doesn't rain,
Oh,
when everybody goes to Egypt?
drought. The drought
It's
in
it is a famine. No, it's not a
yeah,
famine.
it's a drought that results in a famine.
In a famine,
Yeah,
correct.
famine
Yeah,
is
so
that no crop is grown.
correct. Like so it'll say that like all the earth went to Egypt and stuff like that. Well, it doesn't mean all the earth, but that doesn't mean there was nobody else on other places in the earth. Like it's that kind of reasoning that they're using. Like the Bible focuses on the earth, and therefore they're going to be like, no, therefore God didn't create anything else. It's too at the very least it's too hasty of a conclusion. Um, if they want to be intellectually honest, they would just have to suspend judgment and say, I don't have I don't have beliefs either for or against the existence of aliens. I'm talking about myself. Um, and like it is what it is. So people come to me, they're like, oh, look at this. Oh, Fox News recently had something where like we have 4 species that they're talking about. Some are reptilians and whatever this, that. And some of them are called Nordic because they're 7 feet tall, Scandinavian looking stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to wait for more information to come out about this stuff in order for me to actually start thinking about it. Because it's not a very wise and healthy thing to do, to think about things with a lack of information. There's way too many gaps to fill. And so that's when it becomes very easy to commit, God of the gaps fallacies in whatever your world may be, worldview may be. I'm very sure there's some atheists jumping up and down and very happy about the alien stuff, because they're like, see, like they're going to come here and they're going to tell us how they don't believe God exists, and bam, Christians, you're done with. And then it's like, oh, that's interesting. What if they come and they tell us that God does exist? Are y'all going to convert to Christianity now? You guys are going to become religious at the very least? And it's like, probably not. You're probably going to find some kind of an excuse about, oh, well, they're creations and they're creatures just like us. And, everybody's bound to have superstitions. Like there's always these sorts of things. And it's a lot wiser and better to suspend judgment on some things till we have more evidence to think about them. And then we'll start thinking about them. Don't jump the gun and try to think about stuff you have very little information about. It's very simple. That's interesting. I can see why a group would get together and then they all start thinking in that direction. So you probably stood out like a sore thumb there.
Yeah, it kind of made me feel crazy, because everybody else, like there were 2 other people that weren't speaking, but everybody else that was speaking was like, wait, how do you know, the meme that God Logic and inspiring philosophy have been using recently. Why do you
Oh,
think why would
yeah.
you think
Why would you think that? It's because that's why.
yeah. Yeah, like the only thing that helped me was that I was like, wait, but nothing in the text says anything. Like nothing in the text alludes to what you're saying at all. You've just brought this and planted it in the middle of 2 verses, like. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think a
I
camera could
did have
capture. Go ahead. Go for it.
I did have another question.
Yep.
This one is more
Sorry, before you ask your
more.
question,
I don't know.
let me brag a little
Yes.
bit, because somebody said, "Is that the World Cup behind you?" It is. Yeah, I took it straight from Messi's hand. It's been in my house. No, this is a Lego World Cup set that Lego just released because of the World Cup here in the United States, and my son built this thing. I think it's 2,400 some odd pieces. So, yeah, very proud of him. So I took it and put it in my office. So I told him it'll be on camera all the time. But it's really nice. They did a really good job, So maybe it's the closest I'll ever come to a World Cup, is right here.
That is significant dedication, though.
It is, and he's been building Legos, and people have been buying it for him. He's got some really cool stuff. He has one that I really like. He's got the Dune Ornithopter one. It's the only Lego set from the Dune series, and that was not as many pieces as this, but it was a lot Like it was very hard for him to build it because it's got mechanisms in there that have to function. So yeah. So he's 12, but he's got dedication and he likes the meticulous stuff. He'll sit there and he'll keep the parts and work on them for like 3 to 5 days and be done. But yeah, you don't see how? It's because that's why. That's right, guys. That's why. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Yeah, my no problem. My other question is, I think it's 2 months ago. I mentioned how I had been in a doctrinal class for just like a was it review or catch up class on doctrines that my church group holds to. And I had some questions. Right. Yeah. There were some things that they mentioned that I was like, what? So I had some questions, and they did. To be honest, I found the whole thing really good altogether. I, I thought it was very gracious for them to make it to do a meeting like that and make it open for people to come along and to hear it and understand these things. And for some of the stuff, they really explained it. With even church history, and carefully took us through scripture with some of the stuff. And those are the stuff that, with all those stuff, I would say I agree with them, not because of how they took us through them, but because I already, I looking at scripture and church history, I can say these things are sensible. Whether they're essential or not, they are sensible to have as church doctrines.
By the way, I do think oh man, I gotta be very careful how I say this. When it comes to essential doctrines, less is more. The more things we make essential, the more problematic it becomes for just Christians. Now, you please understand that within the right context, right? Like, I'll give you a perfect example of the conversation that's happening now. So one of the issues that's been going on with Eastern Orthodox folks is saying things like, if you don't venerate icons, you're anathema. And people are looking at that and saying, wait, what a silly thing to kick people like outside of Christianity for. Like that, why are you making that an essential? And really, like, I don't have an answer for it. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. It seems pretty sensible to say, well, you can reject veneration of the icons and be completely fine when it comes to the gospel. It's like, why would that, so that's what I'm saying is, I like the distinction you made. That's why I had the thought is, like, it's sensible. It might not be essential, but I believe it. But again, it's not an essential sort of doctrine, but it makes a lot of sense. It's reasonable, or some people might even put it this way, and it is a biblical position. Like we see how you can come to that conclusion from the use of the Bible.
Right.
This is partly why I don't always dunk on my Calvinist friends. I just do it in jest and fun. But I see how they come to the conclusions that they come to. Like, and I'm like, cool. Like, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with your conclusion. But you're being consistent in certain ways, and I appreciate that. And so it's a biblical position, meaning you can justify it by the Bible. And don't fall victim for people saying dumb things like, well, you can justify anything with the Bible. No, you can't. The very simple response to that would be, you can't justify atheism with the Bible.
Right.
You can't justify denial of the resurrection of Jesus by the Bible. Like, there's just so many things. But I hear this, and I hear it from people who lean on tradition and lean on history quite often, is thinking that when we say certain things like, "Hey, that's a biblical position," or "We got to do our hermeneutics," but these guys say this. Like, who cares? Those guys say that. Just because the Aryans were large in number and they said certain things, didn't mean anything. What was used to battle them was actually the text of the Bible, not because I say so, because I'm a church father. That was not what was done, by the way. This is an unbiblical position. So therefore, we're back at the whole sola scriptura conversation, and a proper understanding of that. Yep.
Yeah. And I guess that that moves towards some of the issues that I had with some of the doctrines. Um, like that I'm Pentecostal,
Yep.
right? Yeah, I'm Pentecostal. I won't say I won't ape what Ruslan says. Even though Ruslan isn't Pentecostal, I won't say I'm charismatic with a
Yeah.
seatbelt. That's his saying. But I'm
Yeah, but
Pentecostal.
his church is. I mean, Ruslan's pretty Pentecostal in my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it depends how we define
I
those
mean,
terms, but he believes a lot of things. I mean,
yeah,
that would correlate to that. So do I.
yeah, um, yeah. I'm Pentecostal, but I'm biblically minded, or at least I try to stay biblically minded and connected to the living organism of the church, right? That the church is one living organism from the time that Christ established it.
That's right.
So there are certain Pentecostal things and other stuff that I've seen. Not other stuff as in pagan, not
Yeah.
New Age, just other stuff that I saw pop up that I was just like, wait, what? Hold on. And I wasn't the only person to question some of these things. And I wasn't the only person to question some of these things for the reasons that I questioned them. I found that the responses were lacking.
Uh-huh.
The responses mostly came from people that weren't the ones giving the webinar, or what would you call it? Wherever the talk.
Mhm.
They came from other people who are more likely, in my judgment, are more likely to say, "Well, Pastor said this, so that's what it is," right? And they very quickly got frustrated because I'm trying to say, "Hey, I see what you're saying, but if you hold this standard that you're saying, then, for example, the whole Old Testament, we still need to keep to it, but we don't, and we have a good reason why we don't. So then, you know, what is the exception? What makes this an exception? What is the case that makes this an exception?" But yeah, um, I don't know if this is because in the end I ended up writing an email. They said we can write emails about because of the shortness of time, we can write emails to ask them questions about certain things, and I did. And I fully laid out my questions so that they don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's not that I'm trying to attack something. It's not that it's a personal thing that this is too hard for me to swallow. So I'm attacking it. I tried to lay it out clearly, but it's been crickets, no response whatsoever.
Mm.
Um,
And
and
yeah, as far
so
as I remember, this is a pretty large church, right?
I'll say I've been saying my church circle. I'll say convention. My church convention is pretty large. Yes,
Okay,
very
yes.
large.
Okay. Yeah. That's right. I remember that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking, because I have connections to quite a few pastors, I'm wondering whether I should try to reach out to some of them to sit down and to really have an earnest conversation about this, uh, or whether I should just send an email again. It's 2 months later, but to send an email pressing that I honestly want answers to this. I desire to understand why this is placed as a doctrine, um, or what should I do about this? Because I have been in prayer about it, but no response. And
Look,
I
my
feel that
recommendation. Here's what I would say. Since they said we have a lack of time and all that stuff, email us your questions, and you did, and you haven't gotten a response. I think it makes sense to call some folks that you know and say, "Hey, man, I was told I can email. I have emailed. I haven't gotten a response. Can you guys at least give an update?" I don't know. Maybe they got thousands of let's just say, right? Like they got thousands of emails and they're working through them or something like that. Or maybe
right.
it got, like it happens with most of us, maybe with me more than others, but you get an email at a certain time of the day, you open it up and you read it, and then you close it and don't respond to it, and then the following day you get more emails and you kind of forgot that one, like you didn't leave it unchecked to follow up, or flag it or something like that, and then you just don't respond, and somebody says, "Hey, I emailed you, 2 weeks ago," and you're like, "Oh, did you?" So that happens with me. And I would, if people say, "Hey, I sent you an email, never got a response. Everything okay?" And my response is, "Wait, hang on, let me go back in my emails." I go and look at it and I go, "Oh, sorry, man," and I respond to them. So maybe that happened. It could be 1,000 reasons. But I think it's completely fine to reach out and say, "Yeah, send out an email. These are serious concerns I have. There are serious questions I have. I love the church. I love our, kind of fellowship, the whole shebang. And but these are serious questions I have." And see where they go with it. See what the responses are. And hopefully they're proper and right in all the ways. I don't know why people get all like uptight about some of these conversations, man. Like it really doesn't make any sense to me. It does too, because I've seen it happen um, in my own circles where leaders or pastors and stuff like that have been challenged and kind of been pressed on some issues they're not familiar with, and they've either like made up stuff or like kind of flip it around and turn it into like some other conversation. It's like these weird defense mechanisms that come up, and in my mind I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, you could have just said you don't know the answer and then said, "Hey, can you contact me in 2 weeks? Let me go look this up." Or look, all of us who've been through school officially for this stuff, like we read thousands of things, man. And throughout our lives, we've read more things and listened to more things. And somebody comes to me and asks me a particular question about a particular subject that I read in Bible college, let's just say. Like I might say, like, have you read? So, like if somebody comes to me and says, "Have you read the Book of Enoch?" My response to them is yes. It's like if you start getting into details about the Book of Enoch for me because you just read it 2 days ago, my response is going to be, "Brother, I need references. I got to look it up because I haven't looked it up. I haven't read it recently. It's not in the forefront of my mind. It's not the only thing I think about." And so, but people get like really uneasy, and I just think there's so much like better, simpler ways of actually going on about these things within a church setting, and if there is kind of an openness and a diversity within a certain church to bring that about. If there isn't, if it's like, "No, guys, here's where we stand as a, let's just say, denomination," right? And if you think this is wrong, we're not saying you're not a Christian or anything like that, but you're probably gonna have a hard time at this church. Like, suppose the issue with, like, I don't know, infant baptism, and suppose somebody is at a church and I had friends, I have friends, acquaintances who were at a church who believed in infant baptism. These guys were on staff at that church, and they changed their mind on infant baptism as they studied the subject. And it was like, well, like we can't in good conscience baptize Protestant church, by the way, infants, and that was a big issue. It's like, yeah, we're not saying you're not a Christian, but like you probably can't serve at the church. We hold this view Like I've been offered jobs. Particularly, I was offered a job from a certain church, and I knew. Now, I wasn't interested in it, by the way. I wasn't looking for a pastoral position. I actually met with them and said, I'm not looking for a pastoral position. I don't know why you guys would offer me a job. But I was like, even if I was, I wouldn't take this job because I have different beliefs that I know in 4, 5, 8 years is going to become a problem for all of you guys if I start actually speaking about my views. So it's like better like for me to maintain my good relationship with you guys and not get hired and screw things up. And yeah, it's just like, and people's responses are like, oh no, that's not an issue. And I'm like, no, it is. Trust me, it's an issue. You just don't see how serious of an issue it is. Because I can see where it might end up becoming. And denominations are fully in their right, in my opinion, to say, look, a group of us think that this is a biblical position, and here's where we're landing it. But at least let them be open about that stuff is my point. Let them like frankly say it. Like, hey, here's where we stand on this issue. And if you want to be a part of this fellowship, or if you want to be a part of this church, or you want to be a part of this denomination, you got to affirm these things. And if you can't affirm them, you probably have to end up somewhere else.
Right.
But yeah, man, reach out to them and get some clarification. I think that's the healthy and good thing to do. And I don't think you're being arrogant or snotty about it. It's like, I was told I can ask questions in email. I did. I haven't gotten a response. I would like a response.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I know that at the time that I was sending the first email, because, we had the conversation, I was worried about, am I just being headstrong or something? But after that I sent the email. By the time I sent the email, I was like, no, I'm not being headstrong. If there is anything headstrong, is that I'm passionate about what Scripture says,
Yeah.
but I'm not trying to override anyone. I just genuinely want to get a clear answer as to why this position is being held. Why, in words, why we're binding people to something that Scripture doesn't seem to support. That's not how I said it in the email at all. But you know, um,
I think
my
that's a
worry
legitimate
right now
question.
is, yeah, yeah. My worry right now is that the response will be, you know, pretty bad. I'm a lay minister in my church, in my parish, within this
Yeah.
church convention. Um, our parish is small. It's not. It's not big. I don't want anything to come against my parish. I'm connected to some ministries inside the church convention. I don't want it to become a stink or anything. Um, I mean, something recently that kind of gave me this feeling that this could be a possibility. And this isn't me trying to talk badly about my church convention. It's just this is something that I'm concerned about. Recently, there was a training within the church convention in England, and I attended. And one of the other people that attended asked, essentially, is it okay to find translations that say something in a certain way, or is there something? No, not is it okay. It was more like, what exactly is wrong with that, because she had heard people say that it's wrong to do that, so she just wanted to know what exactly is wrong with searching for a translation that says something exactly a certain way.
Like specifically
If,
with Bible
if
translations?
Yeah, if it's easier to read with Bible translations that say, a verse a certain way if it's
Yeah, yeah.
easier to read or easier to understand. And I had replied to her that, um, you know, there's always the quote that the best translation is the one that the best Bible translation is the one you can understand.
Yeah.
But there is a spectrum of translations from as literal as we can be in English to paraphrasable to maybe not even really capturing what's being said.
Yeah.
And we want to convey what is being said in scripture. And sometimes that means difficulty is a good thing to introduce. And I recommended some translations that, you know, I use or have used in the past. And I just said, you can look these up and see which ones are good. And the, someone else, uh, like a more senior pastor, said, yeah, that's a very good answer. And then he just, dug deeper, spent a bit more time explaining why my answer was like a reasonable answer. And then mentioned, he said something like, you know, the Message Bible may not be something you go to for first read or anything like that,
Yeah.
and the Amplified as well. But then he said TPT is something, it's pretty good to read sometimes. And my response was my response was, um, so I know the TPT is popular, but the man who claims to have translated it, when you look into how his translation process went, he said that he got inspiration to translate this in a dream, and that he got some key hidden translations that have been hidden from all other translations from an angel called Passion. And the person just, the senior pastor just ignored what I said completely,
Mm.
like as if I didn't say anything. And that kind of thing is like, it, that's kind of the worry that I have about the backlash against either my parish, because, oh, you're a small parish and you've got a lay minister who seems to be problematic in quotes, or either it just goes like, in someone's mind, they're like, I'm not even going to respond to this person. Just
Yeah.
keep a mind note that
Well,
anything
look,
comes from this direction.
my response generally is you don't know. All of those are you speculating to a certain extent. Um, and what you are responsible for is faithfulness, fidelity to Christ, and um, and what you think is right within the Word of God, and voicing concerns and saying things like you said in that situation, which you're right about the Passion Translation. Um, is important, and people are going to be responsible for their own reasons and reactions and all that stuff, but like at the end of the day, it's like in your mind it has to be, look, I'm giving benefit of the doubt, I'm being honoring to Christian, I'm sorry, I'm honoring Christ in this, and I'm being a well minded Christian in these situations, and then we'll see what the result is going to be out of this. And Nick Quint's in the chat right now. Nick's got some interesting stuff denominationally that he's had to deal with and focus on and all that stuff. Not, I would say, a lot more difficult than what you're going through. But like we all at the end of the day need to ask these sorts of questions, and whether it's in a local context, and what are seemingly small things with like individuals. Like I've had conflicts with like pastors, the church leaders, where I've said, well, I think that was wrong. Like I remember one time there was a guest speaker that came to our church and spoke, and what he said was very interesting. Like he gave some historical stuff. I'm being very gracious with my words here. Um, he made some claims that are like, he said, during this time they did the following things, and I was like, man, I've never heard this. Either like this guy's like got some stuff down, and I just haven't heard it, like, but I've never heard it. It's genuinely curious. After he was done, I went to at the time our senior pastor, and I said, hey, did you hear that example he gave? And he said, yes. I said, have you read that anywhere and heard it anywhere? He's a much older gentleman than me, and he said, I have not. And I was like, oh, that seems kind of fishy. Like he sort of just like made it up, or he heard it somewhere, but it's not like well fact checked in regards to being like authentic historical documentation. And so we made the decision that we're going to spend the next couple of weeks to he actually had a device with him, and he was like, this device was used for the following things, basically. And so we kept that in our church's office to look to see if that thing was true. Couldn't find any historical references to it from the time period he was talking about. And it's like you get into these things where it's like, do I tell this, like, what do we do? Do we tell this guy, like, he just came and spoke to our congregation and said something completely made up or incorrect or from a different time period that doesn't correlate to the time period that, like, these are things that we all have to think through when we communicate things. Like, for example, in the Bible, you got to be careful because there could be a difference between, say, if you're speaking from the time of David or Saul, and then you're speaking from the time of Isaiah, or you're speaking from the time of Malachi. Those trends and people group, all those don't always correspond and correlate. Those are hundreds and hundreds of years between those events. And sometimes I think people just speak about them, and it could get problematic. But I mean, dude, I think your heart is in such a good place, and I think you're so mindful of other folks and respect and honor. I don't think you can do any more than what you're doing. It's like just really being careful about how you approach some of these situations, and just simply want answers of, hey, we hold this belief. Can you tell me why we hold it? And if if a group of people are going to come out and say, we're not going to tell you why we're holding it and stuff like that, then they're in the wrong, because we ought to have biblical reasons for taking especially strong doctrinal stances on things. That's on them. Like you're actually doing your job, like as a pastor, a lot better and more serious. If the response is, not saying this will be the response, but if the response is, well, no, like, who are you for us to give you an explanation as to why we stand where we stand? That's not on you. That's ultimately on them, as leaders, as however your kind of structure is, whether they're bishops or whatever. That's all on them. You just do your part, is what I'm just gonna say. And you are, and you're being mindful, and you're caring and kind and all of the stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Otto.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
doubt, man.
I'm gonna go ahead and reach out to some people prayerfully. Thank you. I've taken up probably over an hour of your time, so I'm
It's all
gonna
good, man.
I'm gonna thank you for being gracious. I will just ask one thing, and then I'll jump out of the call. Is there anything to pray for you about?
Yeah. I'm involved in multiple ministries, guys. And including this one, my church ministry, my full-time job with Young Life. And all of those need a certain kind of attention, like specific to them, certain kind of attention, focus, resources, finances, all of that, in order for those ministries to function properly. And so right now I would say probably one of the biggest things that we have going on specific to the Young Life ministry that I'm involved in is resources, and I mean that in a broad sort of sense. It's financial as well as volunteers and leaders and all sorts of stuff, people resources and all that. And so I'll be praying for that. I mean, we were, pray to the Lord of the harvest to raise up folks, workers, laborers, to go into the harvest and do the work, and we need that definitely, and we need financial support as well, yeah. So I would say pray for that, pray for this ministry, pray for all the stuff we're doing, and then pray for my sanity. I will say this night, I say that sort of in jest, just a little bit. This stuff is super exciting to me, and I love doing it, but it never stops. And I think that's not healthy. Quite often, I'm getting texts and calls just throughout the day of people just asking me questions, like a sounding board, whatever it's called. Like people reflect ideas off of. Hey, I was thinking about this. What do you think? Which is fine. I don't mind it. I love it actually, and that's how I know God's called me to this sort of stuff. But there is an aspect where it's like, okay, I got to remain sane in that situation. Because it does at times, and it could get frustrating. I'm so involved in my local church. It could get frustrating with, switching off from like getting into heated conversations online. And then like you go to your church and some innocent dude comes up to you and asks you a question, and you can like still think you're in like YouTube mode and like give a snappy answer or something like that, or a young person that I work with in my Young Life job. If they ask me a question, like I never want to be snappy with them and all that stuff. And so sometimes those bleed into each other all sorts of ways, and they need to be separated. So pray for all that stuff. Really long-winded answer. But thank you for asking for that, and thank you for praying for me. For all of you guys who do pray for me, I really appreciate it. God bless you guys. Okay, the what's it called? What the? What? Oh gosh, man! Avery's losing his mind. You guys, what is this? You guys. Like this guy is like, people think about their thumbnails like crazy, and they're like, oh man, like I'm always struggling over my thumbnails, making sure that it's good and eye-catching and all that. And Avery puts up a picture of his cat. Puts up a picture of his cat. By the way, big congrats to Avery. He was at 600,000 earlier, and now he's at 606. His channel's booming, you guys. Praise the Lord for the way he's using Avery. That's amazing. Amazing stuff. There's a question here I want to answer. The other day, someone brought this up. Malcolm Gladwell says that David beating Goliath was not shocking. It was obvious because Goliath was infantry and David was artillery. How do you respond? My response is yes and no. So, look, David is not a soldier. He's a young man. He's not a trained warrior. He's not a trained killer. He's killed animals and all that stuff. But in regards to like being in battle and fighting, he's not that. And I think there's a distinction there between David and Goliath. There is an aspect of David being small and agile, and he hits things at a range. He's really good with his sling, versus Goliath being gigantic, slow, lots of armor on him. And some people, and I don't know how true this is, but some people also arguing that he could potentially even be blind if he suffers from this gigantism, or at least he doesn't see very well, which David would have the advantage on all that stuff. So there is, I've heard these comments from Malcolm Gladwell, a really good friend who's a pastor, who's convinced of this sort of an idea that David actually, not necessarily that he has the upper hand, but it's not as, practically speaking, uneven as people might think and suppose it is. Let's see. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Don King. Don, what's up, Don? He says, if you guys want to believe in your God, that's fine. But when you start telling the people, other people, such as gays or women, don't have the rights to their own bodies, that's a big problem. Hey, Don King, why don't you call in? I'd love to have this conversation with you. Oh, Lady Logic's been asking for a cat. If I were Avery, I'd be like, no. Children over animals. And also, when you start threatening non-Christians that you're going to burn in hell forever, I have a big problem with that. Hey, why don't you call in? And we can talk about where your problems lie. The worst is when Christian parents threaten their children with eternal hellfire. Is my mind borderline child cruelty? Man, I'd love to have a personal conversation with you. The link is dropped. You can call in. Simply put, let me respond to this. Is it true? Because the answer to that question will solve your entire concerns. The problem you're having is that you're assuming you're right and then criticizing it based on your perspective, which leads you to some weird relativism about what we could and should or shouldn't do. But why don't you take a couple of seconds and think the way we think, put yourself in our setting. Is it true? Is Christianity true? And if Christianity is true, then it's not a threat. It's the reality. If Christianity is true, then homosexual acts are sinful. If Christianity is true, then women shouldn't murder their children in their womb. And it's not a conversation about right to their own bodies. Now, you might these are like politically charged statements you're making. I don't know whether you've actually had a conversation with an articulate, intelligent Christian before or not. I tend to fall in that category. That's not being proud. That's just the reality of it. And it's a very simple question. Is it true? Is Christianity true? Now, you're more than welcome to call in. I have a link dropped. You can call in and we'll go through every single one of these things. You'll give me your rebuttals and I will respond to you. But that's the real question. Is it true? If Christianity is true, then all the stuff you said are not the way you're seeing them. Okay? And maybe you've had bad experiences. And I'm sorry if you've had bad experiences. That's not necessarily on me, nor is it on the Bible, nor on all of Christians. Maybe you came across some Christians who didn't act very Christianly. But the ultimate question is it true? That's not his cat. He doesn't like cats. His wife wants a cat, and there's a debate around it. Don't get cats, Avery. They're bad and from Satan. Arthur, do you have 5 book suggestions for someone looking at potentially going into ministry? Yes, I do have 5 book suggestions for someone potentially going into ministry. The 5 book suggestions I have are going into ministry. So I give you 2 hermeneutics books. How to Read the Bible for All It's Worth. Biblical Interpretation, thicker book, more serious book. Those are 2. I'll count one of them. This next one I'm going to give is 2 books, but I'll count them as one. They're commentary series. The IVP Bible Background Commentary Series, New Testament and Old Testament. Count that as 1. Going to the ministry. Let me look around. For your own well-being, something from Dallas Willard, like The Divine Conspiracy, or renovation of the heart. That would be fourth one. And the fifth one would be a book on, thinking more of a history book, the story of Christianity. It's a 2-part book about church history. Yeah. If I were to pick 5, it would be that. And by the way, you're saying you're going to ministry. That's partly why I recommended books of that sort rather than like some apologetic stuff. If I was including apologetic stuff in there, Philosophical Foundations for a Christian Worldview, Blackwell Companion for Natural Theology, Love the Lord your God with all your mind, From God to Us, How We Got the Bible. That's by Geisler and Nix. It's a book about how we got the biblical canon. Would be some of my recommendations. But yeah. Okay, so since you're not going to call in, and I'm going to get a little aggressive with you, murdering their children in the womb, you need to even understand that fetus is not a child. Hey, pay attention. Pay attention. Stop saying stupid stuff. Fetus means child in Latin. Stop saying stupid stuff. Do you have any children? I have 4 of them. Don't say dumb stuff. Please don't say dumb stuff. It shows your ignorance. It shows you don't know what you're talking about, and you just repeat what you've heard from people like Bernie Sanders. Let me actually, since we're in an information age, what does fetus mean? Okay. Let's go Latin. Okay. Fetus, directly translated, offspring, bringing forth, or the bearing or hatching of a young. Okay. Medical use. First used in English in the 14th century, the word specifically describes the developing young of a mammal while still in the womb. In humans, this refers to the developmental stage from the 9th week after fertilization under birth. Now, that's 14th century conversations. They had this concept of quickening and all that stuff. I'm not going to get into details about that. But don't say dumb stuff. Like, it's not a child. Yes, I'm not very smart when it comes to medical issues. Why don't you go to your church next time and need a triple bypass? See how that works out. I mean, that's a dumb statement. Why would anybody go to church for a triple bypass? Hey, stop saying stupid stuff. You go to the hospital if you need a triple bypass. Stop saying stupid stuff. I mean, why would anybody go to a church for a triple bypass? By the way, I offered you to call in and have a decent conversation instead of just being in the comment section yelling. Like, who the heck does that, man? It's like, hey, you know what? I got a really, really smart thing to say. Next time you need your car fixed, take it to your church. Now, if I took it to my church, there's a bunch of guys there that are mechanics and know how to fix cars, so they'll take care of it. And then maybe you got some doctors at your church who could take care of that as well. But you might want to go to a hospital. You know the hospitals that like Christians set up? Yeah, you might want to go there. Yes, quoting the Bible does something. Get my blood pressure up because people are okay with these things. Stop telling me how to live my life, man. If I want to say abortion is murder, I have the right to say it. Babadoo. Sorry, I'm only referring to modern day medical terms. I should have realized that I need to speak in Latin, although I know Latin. Oh, I'm going to try to flex without actually flexing. Bro, call in. And by the way, you have the right to believe whatever you want to believe in. Why do you feel the need to push your beliefs on us? You know, it really gets under my nerves when people who have their own beliefs about these things are trying to like push their beliefs on us. Like, stop it. Keep your beliefs to yourself, man. You're obviously much more educated than I am. No, I'm probably wiser than you are, but I don't know if I'm more educated than you are. I'm not very sure. And very educated people can say very stupid things. If you want to, like, I don't know, whip out your degrees and see who's got more degrees. I have 2. You might have 3. That's fine. But that wouldn't determine what we're saying is true or false either way. Because that's just merely an appeal to authority, or in this case, appeal to diplomas. Decently educated, man. I'm decently educated, somewhat rational, know what I'm talking about most of the time. Sometimes I say stupid stuff. But again, why don't you call in? We'll have a fine discussion, man. I'm a great conversation partner. My chat can tell you I'm a great conversation partner. You came in here guns slinging, and you know, it's sort of like you were looking for a Christian to just like unload all your thoughts on, and that's okay. Go for it. Stop telling other people how to live their lives. You stop telling me how to live my life, man. Go away. Want to play with your little church toys in your basement? What? What? What kind of churches have you been to, man? What the heck? But you don't have the right to tell other people how to live. You realize you're telling me how to live, right? You realize this statement is a contradictory statement. It's a self-refuting statement. Hey, people don't have the right to tell other people how to live their lives. And I'm telling you how to live your life. You seem like a pretty educated person who knows Latin. Maybe you should figure that one out. Stop pushing your beliefs on me. Stop pushing your beliefs on me. Plain and simple. And stop trying to enact laws that go against our beliefs. Dude, I don't know what your weird fascination is with toys. That's kind of weird. It's like serious weirdo status. What accredited Christian university did you get your degrees from? Life Pacific University. I have a degree in biblical studies with a minor in education. I have a master's degree from Talbot School of Theology, from Biola University. Both those schools are accredited universities, by the way. And I have a master's degree in philosophy from Biola University. I actually did not have to do a thesis because I took extra classes instead of doing a thesis because I chose to do that. And so that's that. Simply put, do you have a DOI number? I actually don't know what a DOI number is. So, and even if I had one, I probably wouldn't give it to you. But I have my diplomas sitting right there. So, but even if I didn't have any diplomas, would you reconsider Oriental Orthodox? Probably not. We have freedom of speech, and Arthur believes he can believe in what you believe, Mr. Donk. Hey, Baba Boo, God bless you. If you choose to believe in your God, go for it. I choose to live in reality. I'm not telling you what to believe in. Well, if you choose to believe in whatever you're believing in, stop telling us what we can do with what we believe in. If I believe abortion is murder, it would be my responsibility as a moral agent and moral prerogative to stop society from murdering their own children. You see how that's consistent and why I would do that? And that has nothing to do with about controlling women's bodies because you read that on a bumper sticker and because it's a political talking point in the United States. Call in. If you called in, we could actually talk face to face. It'd be a lot better, more profitable, probably. But since you're living in reality and the rest of us aren't, stop telling us how to live our lives. You're referring to my beliefs as toys, bro. That's like some weird Freudian stuff going on there, bro. Like who thinks about beliefs as toys? Like, nah. Like if you want to do proper epistemology, we're not thinking about beliefs as toys. That's strange, dude. How old are you? I can't believe it took me this long to ask you how old you were, considering that, hey, that's very telling whenever people come on my stream and I know how to react. You know, if you're like 16, 17 years old, I don't, the conversation would be a bit more gracious probably. If you're like a 35-year-old man who's doing this, then that'd be a problem for you. You have a master's degree and don't know what a DOI number is. No, I don't. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. I don't claim to know everything. There's many things, many things. I don't know. Okay, so I'm looking up. I don't have. I haven't written academic journal articles for me to have a DOI number. So a digital object identifier, a permanent alphanumeric string assigned to academic, professional, and government documents. Does my diploma have a DOI number on it? Maybe it does. Let me see. It doesn't. But I have legitimate degrees, I promise you. I promise you I have legitimate degrees. You got me. I mean, if you just want to act stupid, you're more than welcome to act stupid. But you came on my channel and started running your mouth. And so, yeah. Do I believe in all millennialism? Depends on the day I wake up. I lean more towards a post-millennial view, but I'm open to all millennialism being true. I bet he agrees with everything Muslims say. Maybe so. Maybe so. I don't push my beliefs on anybody. This is hilarious. You came onto my stream, started pushing your beliefs on me, and you're telling me you don't push your beliefs on anybody? Dude, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. But you obviously do think you have the right to tell individuals who they can sleep with and well, not necessarily, but okay, whatever. I mean, look, we all believe we can tell individuals how to live their lives. All of us. That's actually what it means to be a government of the people for the people. We literally have a system of government in which the people tell other people how to live their lives. Like that's what laws are. Like you realize that's how laws are passed. Like it's a bill, it gets introduced, it goes through Congress. This is in the United States, goes through Congress, right, is signed into law by the president, and like that's how like people tell each other how they should live their lives all the time, always. You can't get away from that. Stop saying stupid stuff. Yeah, I read lots of published works. I wonder if there are any young Earth evolutionists out there.
My Bible says so.
Do I believe in predestination? No, I do not. I'm not reformed in my theology. I'll just frankly say no. I don't believe in predestination. I lean more towards a Molinist view. I absolutely believe Islamophobia exists, and the Christians are in the same boat. Hey, man, stop trying to oppress me with your weird liberal talking points. I'm a minority. I'm an immigrant in this country. I feel very oppressed by your white splaining. Stop it. I'm a victim here. Stop attacking my religion. Stop attacking immigrants and the beliefs that immigrants have. It seems like you have Christianophobia, man. Are you scared of Christians? You are the expert in the Bible. Why did God have women that had no discharge on their wedding cloths stoned? Please enlighten me. Nope, not going to enlighten you because I'm not here to enlighten you. I'm not here to entertain you. You ain't going to get that from me, man. What up, Josh? How you doing? You've gotten enough responses from me, Don King. And if you're not going to call in, zip it. What are your thoughts on the back and forth response videos I get reviewing a debate or discussion? I'm not a huge fan of. He said, they said, she said. I look, it's sort of like if people were writing back and forth to one another. And I think if it's limited and helpful and carries the dialogue, it works. I mean, I don't want to be hypocritical here. I do think there's a value in creating a response video, like even if I'm making a response video of something other people have done, because I might think I have something to say about that subject. And that's kind of popular in the YouTube world and arena. So I think that, if that's sort of all that's happening, I think that's problematic. I always, one of the ways I judge YouTubers and social media kind of content creators is if I go and check out and see if they have anything that is coming from them, if there's anything they're saying themselves, rather than what I think Jerome calls clip farming, right? It's check this out. Did you know what this guy said? And then it'll just like show their entire clip, and that individual hasn't produced anything. And to me, that shows they don't have much to contribute. I don't mind it as long as it's in a limited kind of sense, Joshua. I think it's actually necessary for proper dialogue to take place, and making videos back and forth could be very helpful. Arthur, are you planning on doing a night stream anytime soon? Good question. I did maybe in the fall. There's some schedule stuff changing with my family and my wife's work, and it might create some opportunities for me to do night streams. I peed my pants. when you looked into the screen. Hey man, TMI. That means too much information. And yeah, everybody pees their pants now, man. It's the cool thing to do. Haven't you seen Billy Madison? And please don't share that information with us. Do I believe once saved, always saved? No, I do not. I think like it's funny, like why I'm just curious why you're asking these questions, like trying to like theologically categorize me. Is interesting. It's hilarious. Good for you. Case closed. You're afraid to talk about the Bible. Hey, genius. I literally told you to call in and have a conversation with me. Clearly, that tells you I'm terrified and I'm running away from you. Yeah, amazing conclusion. Yeah, well, if you're gonna have conversations of that sort with me, then when you set up your VPN, call in. It'll be fun. I promise you. I'm not afraid to talk about passages. Give me specific passages. We'll look them up. We'll talk about them. Oh, you just want to know what I believe? Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. It's like you're going down. It's like you're going down a list. Like you have a list in front of you, and you're like, check, no predestination. Check, not a Zionist. Check, not a Calvinist. Check, not a once saved, always saved. Check, bald bearded and biblical. Love to have a conversation with you on eternal generation of the Son and philosophical emergence in Christianity in regards to the early church. I would love to talk to you about that as well, but I'd probably need to hit the books and read up some stuff before I have a conversation with you on that. I saw you for the first time talking with Father. Oh, you're new to the channel, man. Why didn't you say so? Hey, everybody, let us welcome our very good friend, One Kiana. Is that how you say it? One Kiana. Appreciate you being here. You should have said that. I thought you've been on this channel before, so you're new to the channel. You just want to get to know me. Yep, you're more than welcome to be here, man. Bible passage. Give me a Bible passage to look up. Give me a Bible passage to look up. Why do liberals always default to brain rot leftism? I don't know. It might be the natural conclusion, sort of thing. Why do atheist pagans always default to liberalism? I don't know. Maybe it's a whole logical deduction thing that takes place. Any debate reviews such as Alex versus Craig, I haven't watched that one, by the way, yet, or the ones that are on Justin Briley's channel. I don't know. I don't know if I've done any reviews. I probably have. I think I've reviewed a number of things that Alex has put out there. But yeah, but I do have to watch the Alex Craig conversation. I was just stuck in watching some other videos, predominantly Mike Winger's 18 hours stuff. You want me to find a Bible passage about God stoning women? Are you kidding me? I'm the 16-year-old idiot. Yeah, I want you to give me a Bible passage for us to look it up. Because I don't know what you're assuming. I don't know what you're talking about. Give me a Bible passage. It's not very difficult. Okay. Deuteronomy 22, 13 to 21. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Deuteronomy 22, 13 to 21. Here we go. Okay. If a man takes a wife and goes into her, that means have sex with her, and then hates her and accuses her of misconduct and brings a bad name upon her, saying, I took this woman, and when I came near her, I did not find in her evidence of virginity. That's the accusation. Then the father of the young woman and her mother shall take them, bring the evidence of her virginity to the elders of the city of the gate. Okay. And the father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man to marry, and he hates her. And behold, he has accused her of her misconduct, saying, I did not find in your daughter evidence of virginity. And yet, this is the evidence. Notice that this is in the positive, that there is positive evidence of her virginity, right? And yet, this is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloak before the elders of the city, which is the evidence, because this is actually a passage protecting the honor of women, so that they're not just abused and misused by any man who's going to just accuse his new wife of not being a virgin. So this is actually in the positive sense, and they're going to produce this. Then the elders of the city shall take the man and whip him, and they shall fine him 100 shekels. How much is 100 shekels? I don't know how much it is in modern money, but it's a lot of money. I guarantee you it's a hefty fine. It's a hefty punishment for lying about this poor woman. 100 shekels of silver, about 2.5 pounds. Apparently this was double the original bride price, which is 50 shekels. And so he's got to pay up. He's punished heavily. And they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver and give them to the father of the young woman, because he has brought a bad name upon the virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife, and he may not divorce her in all the days. But if the thing is true, that the evidence of virginity was not found with the young woman, they shall bring out the young woman to the door of her father's house, and then they shall stone her. That's because she has committed adultery or fornication. And in Israel's system, in their legal system, that's punishable by death. That's why, to give you an answer. Very funny that what the evidence, we know what the evidence is. We know what the evidence is very clearly. The wedding cloth would be the bed sheets that there'd be blood on. That's what it's about. I mean, we're not going to get into more details about that. How about that? Okay, so listen, man. This guy can't be real. Nobody, even someone in grade 9, understands what we're looking for blood on the cloth. Yeah, we're all idiots. Hey, do you have children? Yeah. So if the woman has broken the actual law of God, she's put to death, because there's many things in Israel where it's the law of God and people are put to death, men or women, by the way. If a man is caught in adultery, he is put to death. If a woman caught in adultery, she is put to death. But also in that context, which is the majority of the context, is the false accusation and what the guy needs to pay for his false accusations, and what the punishments for those things are. That's what that passage is about. And by the way, if you think that's wrong, stop pushing your... Look, very simply put, if you think that's wrong, but this is a product of the Israelite society and culture, We're just assuming your worldview. Why are you trying to push your worldview and your thinking on what they developed in their society and their worldview? What gives you the right to do that? Nobody. Nothing. See, this is the problem with your relativism. It's always going to get you in a weird pickle where you can't accuse other people of doing wrong things. Oh, it's unfair. It's their society, man. It's what they decided to do it. You obviously don't understand female anatomy. Less than 40% of women have any discharge when they have sex for the first time, and you were calling me an idiot. Why don't you talk to some women? I didn't call you an idiot, by the way. I never used those words about you. I said stop saying stupid things, which is when you were saying stupid things. Let me tell you this. Um, Even if you're right about that, biological change is an obvious factor that is happening with modern women and modern men. Lots of things affect developmental things that are happening, like nutrition and so on and so forth. But just because it's 40% of women that are going through this today, it doesn't mean, and you can't in any way scientifically prove that it was 40% of women back then. That's the problem with what you're saying. It could have been a higher percentage back then. There's many issues going on with young women today, predominantly because of nutrition, that folks are seriously thinking about and talking about. So, since you're just a smart aleck guy, and you're not an idiot, you should know those things. Let me guess. The last 6,000 years, women biology has changed. Are you kidding me? You obviously know nothing about human anatomy. Okay, that's you just can't prove that's the case. Oh, it's not. Yeah, I wouldn't say it is. I wouldn't say it is. That it's 100% mighty Sarlacc. We've had conversations before. I wouldn't say something like that. And it doesn't necessarily need to be 100%. And laws are very, very interesting sort of things. Now, I don't want to give you a lesson on how laws work, but even in Israel, even though something is the law, we have multiple ways where those laws are enacted, just like today. We're reading law here, okay? And so there's a lot more that goes into it. For example, coupled with this law would be a law that has the whole passages about if a woman is, with a man and she doesn't cry out, which means which means is consensual, then both of them are to be put to death. Within this law, questions would be asked: is who's the guy that she slept with? Find him and bring him. And let's have a conversation with that. Now, again, you're reading a certain kind of literature, which is law in this case, and that would have other implications in regards to a court case, which is when they take them to the city, the gates of the city, which is where their court was essentially. Those questions would be asked. Okay. So, but it's written that matter. But it doesn't seem like a donkey guy here wants to have that kind of a conversation. But he's an absolute coward by using excuses like, I don't have my VPN set up to call in, to actually call in and talk to me face to face. I think my explanation answers this question. The Talmud will tell me more accurately how the law was implemented. That's not necessarily true. The Talmud's got a lot of crap in it. Stupid crap. It may even be that the man doesn't report what has happened. That's true. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And you just don't. That's the problem. It's like these generalizing conversations. 40% of women. 40% of women where? And those are important conversations, man. Well, I sure wouldn't want you to be doing any operating on me if you can't focus on what's at hand. Um, why would I be doing operations on you? I'm not a doctor. Stop saying stupid stuff, man. Why, why would I be doing operations on you? 40% of women on planet Earth. Really? They've done a one-to-one study on all women who've had sex and whether they've bled or not. I didn't know there was such an exhaustive study on the entire female population of the planet who's had sex to see whether they bled or not. Is that what your claim is? Because you have 40% of the women on planet Earth. What do you think Mars and genetic changes to that degree? That's not how those studies are done, buddy. And yeah, you're not going to get away with that. 40% of women on planet Earth. Because we did an exhaustive research on all the women. No, I'm curious to know what because frankly, I don't trust statistics very much because statistics could be used in all sorts of different ways. I'm curious to know what their study group was. Who were they? Where were they from? What's going on in those cultures? I mean, there's serious questions to be asked. I mean, are you against scientific inquiry and study? Is that what's going on? This guy doesn't have any degrees. Hey, my name is not this guy, genius. Mm-hmm. If you can give me an actual study on that, I'd look it up. Ad hominem don't work here, my brother. My brother in humanity. In humanity, I like that. I don't have any degrees. You can even say I have negative degrees. The argument still stands. Stoning a woman is wrong whether they're virgins or not. Hey, stop pushing your personal views on people. How do you know what's right and wrong? Where'd you get that lofty notion of rightness from, my friend? Huh? Who made you king over us to tell us what's right and wrong? You have such high moral convictions. Where do you get them from? Just curious. Is or not you're gonna really go down with these objective views? Do you obey the messianic law? Messianic laws. That's. Do you mean Mosaic laws? Man, it's those lack of degrees. It's those lack of degrees that I have that I don't know the difference between Messianic and Mosaic laws. But okay. Would you like to give me DOA peer-reviewed certified studies that? No, I would like you to give me a DOA peer-reviewed certified study that tells me it's 40% of women, and I will look that up and see what the findings were, who they studied, what population, from where the population of women were from, how old they were, and all the details that comes into asking serious questions of peer-reviewed journals. So, if you can give me an actual study that's been done on this subject, that I can look up on my spare time, I would love to. Until then, you ain't got jack squat. I know what's right or wrong based on promoting the well-being of others. Why is it a good thing to promote the well-being of others? Do you get that you're presupposing it's a good thing to promote the well-being of others? Like, where did you get that idea from? Where? Please don't tell me you use God's objective rules. I'm just asking where you get your ideas for all the stuff that you're talking about in these such lofty ways. Arthur can't read. Good. Arthur can't read good. Those degrees were in finger painting and gender studies. Well, at least you got one of them right. So let me get this straight. Different populations of women have different amounts of discharge. Are you serious? That's not what I said. I mean, man, you're just being stupid now. And I've like entertained you plenty enough. But now you're being stupid. That's not what I said. I'm curious to know where the studies are from. That matters. People eat crap in America. That affects us biologically. People in other countries who don't eat crap affects them biologically. And it has all sorts of biological results that come out of that. That's all I'm saying. I want to know what the peer-reviewed study is that you're quoting. Until then, don't talk. Since you're someone who's asking for all, peer-reviewed numbers and all that stuff, give me an actual study that they've done on the entire population of the earth showing that 40% of women are like, show me the money. Show me the money. Hurry up. What's your denomination? I am a non-denominational Christian, meaning I go to a church that's not affiliated with the denomination, but I would say largely within evangelicalism. I will look it up and send it to you. I just need to go and look it up when I get to work. Oh, you look it up now. Why can't you look it up now? My email is info@apologiacenter.com. It's in the about section. Send me the article. Why can't you look it up now? I'm curious why you can't look it up. Because I don't have access to those files unless I'm at work. Okay. I mean, they're peer-reviewed stuff. You should have access to peer-reviewed journals if you're in that line of work, regardless. But okay. Arthur is not arguing this, but I would argue that even if 99.99% of women in 2026 don't bleed for the first time, all that proves is that women in 2026 don't bleed for the first time. Yeah, I said that. I actually said that. There's no way you can figure out whether people in the past bled, or women specifically in the past bled or not. It's not that's not how you argue logically. It's not. Because there's things that are true of human beings today. For example, people have a longer lifespan, but they really don't. But it's argued that because child mortality is high and people die in war and stuff like that. But like statistically, and this is why I don't trust statistics, is when people throw stuff like that. You go, people have a longer lifespan now. They don't. It's when they're taking that stuff and averaging it, and they go, they have a longer lifespan now. It's just not true. People who got past child mortality, people who didn't die in war, ended up actually living into their 60s, 70s, 80s. So, hey, why do you think nutrition and all this stuff has anything to do with people in the United States having large cases of cancer? Is Arthur is a Mormon? What? No, I'm not going to let you guide this conversation. Heck no. I've entertained you enough. You're taking a huge leap of faith to say that it was precisely the same back then. I agree with you. Arthur is Coptic, Oriental, Eastern, Antioch, and Orthodox. Arthur is Coptic, Oriental, Eastern, Antioch, and Orthodox. The Armenian should be in there somewhere, Nick. You got to add Armenian there. You can't just like leave that out. A general Baptist or a particular Baptist? Yeah, I mean, there's views that I have that don't necessarily fit with particular or general Baptists, but that's fine. You can call me one if you want. If you don't believe that, why don't you write a study on that and send it to your Christian journal? Because I don't want to. Oh gosh, this guy's something else. Dude, you're such an annoying person. Like, I talk to atheists all the time, but like you're the cringe kind, and it's hilarious to me. Like you could just, by the way, you could be asking all these people ask me all these questions all the time. It's not what you're asking. It's just the way you're asking it. Hey, you guys, does anybody want to tell them? Does anybody want to tell them the wide range of Christian beliefs on how human beings came to be? Anybody want to answer that question? Yes, the truth can be very unpleasant. I guess the best way to deal with the truth is just to kick me. I haven't kicked you. I'm just not talking to you because I probably don't like you very much. Why am I non-denominational? I have views that I can't legitimately go into any particular denomination and amen all of it. Frankly put, it'll create issues. So that's why I'm non-denominational. Question: have you kept up with JP and the Ortho Bros? Super funny. I saw some stuff yesterday, and I saw the JP calling a Catholic guy Arthur because he's bald and has a beard. Can you explain salvation of Jesus? What do you mean? Can I explain the salvation of Jesus? Like, are you trying to ask me? Can I explain salvation through Jesus? Of Jesus is a confusing way to put that, man. Cash if sarfraz. Maybe English is a second language, but give me more on this comment so I know what you're actually talking about. Let's make it clear this guy is an expert on the Bible, but he can't even answer a simple question like, was man created separately from the animal world? See, he's running away. You see he's running. He's a coward. He doesn't have answers for my simple questions. Why would it create issues? Because like, for example, Presbyterians affirm certain things that I deny, and I can't be Presbyterian, but they affirm other things that I'm okay with. Let's just say, like, I like the Presbyterian church model, but there's specific doctrinal points that I deny, and that just goes with various sorts of denominations. Like, you ask me questions in regards to, once saved, always saved, which is eternal security. That immediately kicks me out of a good chunk of denominations. The closest things that might come to my views would be things like the Methodists or the Wesleyans, but they're also liberal up the yin yang. That I trust me, my very conservative views biblically won't align there. So, am I a pastor? I am not a pastor. I was a pastor. I'm an elder at my church. I'm a teaching elder at my church. Bald bearded, biblical based, beautiful Baptist. All press is good press. I suppose so, man. Thank you very much. Checkmate. You made my day. Can't even defend your Bible. Oh, you see, I'm running away from Don King. From the Don King. This is the proof. You see, he doesn't know Christianity is false because he doesn't know if God made people or if they came from animals. You see. Hey, atheists, collect your own kind, man. Collect your own kind, atheists. Man, you guys are annoying sometimes. I mean, I dunk on Christians all the time for being just cringe and annoying, but some of y'all are so bad. It's like the immediate question I have and the immediate thought I have is like, dude, do you have any friends? Are there people you normally talk to, or do you just talk to people online behind a vague screen and a vague account? Hey, just for fun. I think God guided the evolutionary process. That's why. That's the answer to your question. The answer to this question is because God guided the evolutionary process and brought about humanity. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. You know, it's funny that you just like sticking to the medical stuff because that's like the only thing you really know. You kind of so you know, like you're in the medical field. I don't think you're a doctor. Maybe you're a nurse, and or you're studying this stuff. I don't know. Maybe you're like a pharmacist. I don't know. It'd be interesting to know what you actually do for a living. Question: Is JP as handsome in person as Jay Dyer says he is? Pause. No halal. Jay Dyer said that JP is a handsome guy. JP is a good, tall, good-looking guy, man. Good for JP. He says I could say because we came from a common ancestor. Absolute proof. I love it. Absolute proof. God didn't create us individually. No. Hey, God, hey, people have to do it. People have to do the deed in order for you to be created. Bees and birds conversation, bro. I'll get you to be an atheist by the end of this conversation. I am dead. I'm dead. This guy.
My Bible says so.
Hey, got it. So what do I have for this guy?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Oh, man. Hey, dude. Fix your VPN and call in, man. I really want to see your face and have a conversation with you. I'm so curious. What do you do for a living? Hey, Don King, what do you do for a living? I'm so curious. Hey, that whole 40% thing. Did you actually read that, or did you hear someone say that? You never know. I might be standing over you one day. Well, yeah, you're in medical school, and that's fine. Dr. Malik, is that you? Oh, that was it. Yeah, you might be. You might be. And guess what? Maybe one day a Christian doctor might be standing over you. That's also a possibility. Yeah, my 16-year-old girlfriend told me, hey, bro, what's up with you and young girls and toys? Like, what is wrong with you? Stop making those references, bro. Like, we'll have to report you. This guy said, fortunately, you're not going to find information like that on Google. You need to read peer-reviewed medical papers. Have you heard of Google Scholar? You might want to look it up. And I have access to peer-reviewed academic journals. That's partly why I wanted to know where the reference was. And you didn't answer my question. Did you read that somewhere? Or did you hear someone say it? Like an actual study. Did you read the actual study? Or was it something someone said in a paper, or one of your professors lectured and said this? Or did you actually read? I just want you to tell me, hey, Arthur, I read the actual study. Like that way we'll know there's an actual study out there. If you didn't read an actual study specifically on that subject, say, no, I read it in a paper where it made a reference. You get what I'm talking about? I have no problem with the Christian doctor standing over me because remember the oath first. Remember the oath. First, do you know wrong? What? First, do you know wrong? What? What are you saying? What does that even mean? Are you saying that doctors take an oath to not do any wrong? I guess unless you're a fetus in the womb, then they can do plenty of harm to you. That oath doesn't apply. Answer my questions. I'll tell you what you don't. Tell you what. Why don't you just ask women in the chat? There's probably no women in the chat, by the way. If they had any discharge when they had sex for the first time. Yeah, because the women in the chat are an exhaustive study on. That's a really weird question to ask women, by the way. Like bro, you're talking about toys. You're talking about 16-year-old girlfriends. Now you want to ask the women in this chat. You're creepy, bro. Stop while you're ahead.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
We're all grown-ups here. Yeah, that's not true. That is not true. I'm not very sure whether you're a grown-up, actually. Let's see. Again, you didn't answer my question, by the way. My question was, did you read the actual study on this? The actual peer-reviewed study. Did you read it? I want the actual study. Can you say yes or no to that? Very curious. Nervous laugh because you don't know how to spell no? Like N-O? Do no wrong? And you're saying do no wrong? You've read actual studies on it. Okay. If you don't know these things, then you can't properly diagnose problems. And let's make it clear, I'm not giving any medical advice. Yeah, because you're not a doctor. Man, it's so hilarious to me how you guys like you have all the evidence of being a medical student. It's like sort of like when somebody gets into graduate school and they're just studying some of this stuff and they're like know-it-alls. Like you have all the evidence and all the arrogance of I read peer-reviewed stuff. Believe me, we wouldn't accept your medical advice. Yeah, considering the really weird references to young women and toys constantly. Hey Nick, am I right? Am I reading the situation right? Do you think that this person, I'm assuming is a guy, might not be, but probably is. It has all the evidence of a fresh medical student. Hey, take care, man. It's like when someone learns a little bit and lacks the wisdom to know how little they actually know. Gosh. Yeah, I'm not gonna answer any more of your questions, by the way. Oh man, I've been streaming for 3 hours. I should call it a night. I got some work to do. I will look forward to you actually sending me peer-reviewed studies that have been done on this, not statements, not references to this, not references to studies, but the actual studies. Because I want to look at the data in that. My email is in the about section. So info@apologiacenter.com. And next time, if you want to talk to me, you can call in. Fix your VPN for whatever reason you need a VPN to call in to talk to me. Still don't know why you need a VPN for that, but okay. Yeah. Hey, folks, thanks for jumping in here. Appreciate it. Gonna head out. It's 4:10 here. Been doing this for 3 hours. Thanks for entertaining us, Donkey. And the rest of you guys. God bless you guys, and I'll see y'all later.
Mr. Apologetic, yeah, he breaking it down. Worldviews collide when we step on the ground. No spin, no fluff, we ain't playing around. Every false claim, getting pressed right now. Bad philosophies, stripped to the core. If it ain't truth, we exposing it all. This ain't hype, it's a war for the mind. Every quote, every lie, getting put in the line. From the street to the stream, we defending his name. Balafaya, yeah, the truth never changed. Mr. Apologetic, I used to be a top head. Now if I have my space, I put you on top. I had so much doubt, now I have big faith. If your channel has Yelp, I give you top rep.